Welcome to Aligned Christ-Centered Yoga. My name is Linda and I'll be guiding our practice today. As we begin today, my question for you is this. What do you want Jesus to do for you? As I record this, we're on the cusp of Palm Sunday. I'm going to release this on Good Friday. This week when everything in our lives shifts, when Jesus goes to the cross, reconciles us with God, rises from the dead, defeating death and evil. On his way to Jerusalem, Jesus encountered a blind man, a beggar who was calling to Jesus amongst the crowds. And Bartimaeus called out, "Son of David, have mercy on me." And Jesus, merciful as ever, said to him, "What do you want me to do for you?" Bartimaeus' reply was, "Rabbi, let me recover my sight." And I invite you to process that for just a minute. Bartimaeus is a beggar. In all likelihood, his family has abandoned him because blindness is associated with sin. Society does not have the networks that we have, at least here in the United States, to help people without resources. And so he's on the road and he's begging. When he gets his sight, everything will change. Not only will he be able to see again, but he's going to have to deal with that family that left him to beg. He's going to have to deal with that society that cast him off. He's going to have to provide for himself now. What do you want Jesus to do for you? Opening yourself up to all the ways that it will change your life. Come to a comfortable seated position on your mat, maybe rocking a little bit side to side, front and back, finding those sitting bones. Maybe moving the flesh away from the sitting bones, maybe elevating the hips up on a blanket or a prop. Find a comfortable seated position. One hand to heart, one hand to belly. Find breath. And notice for just a moment where your breath is as you begin today. And I invite you to close your eyes and let the day fade away. Let go of the to-do lists. And begin to deepen the breath, feeling the breath move into the lungs and opening up the rib cage, maybe moving all the way down towards the pelvis as the belly rises. And can you feel the strength and the stability of the exhale? I invite you to let your hands come down softly to your legs and just notice, did you place your palms down or are your palms up? And be intentional about that. What kind of a practice is this for you today? Is it a practice of protection and holding back a little bit? Is it a practice of opening up? As you continue to expand with breath, to deepen and lengthen the breath, consider the question, what do you want Jesus to do for you? This practice today will be a release for the back muscles, an opening up of the chest. Are you open to all of the ways that your life will change when that happens? Take 2 more breaths here. Beginning to connect movement and breath on the next inhale, let the arms rise up. And with the exhale, find a gentle twist to the side. And just explore the sensations in the back. Inhaling as the arms rise, exhaling, twisting to the other side. And just back and forth here. And next time you come up, find your twist and settle there for 2 breaths. So, just briefly here, noticing, where are the sensations the strongest? Are they comfortable or uncomfortable? And go the other direction and same thing, just find the twist, settle in for 2 breaths, check in. Come to center, bring the arms out to the side, and exhaling, begin to find a gentle cat and a gentle cow. So you're not coming to the edges yet, but just this soft exploration of sensation. And 2 more times here, cat to cow, following your breath, your pace. And then as you're ready, let the hands come down to the small of the back, begin to drop the shoulders and bring the elbows towards each other behind you. And as you inhale, lengthen through the spine, lifting the body up and out of the hips. And as you exhale, find this back bend that begins at the base of the rib cage. And stay here for 2 breaths. What do you notice? Come back to center. If you are up on a prop, go ahead and come off that prop. If you have any props, bring them to the front of the mat. And hands softly at the edges of the knees, legs crossed comfortably in front of you. Again, maybe rocking a little to find the sitting bones. Begin to move just the rib cage. And notice which direction your body kind of automatically started to move. Begin to make this bigger, using the hips, circling around the sitting bones. And then add in shoulders and head. And can you find a little bit of upper back and neck release in this as well? And one more time here. Meet me at center. Take your hands in front of you. Deep breath in. How tall can you get? And exhale, just hinge forward at the hips, sliding those hands forward. One more inhale. And then exhale, fold over to wherever you go. So it doesn't matter what it looks like. What you want it to feel like is a little bit of tension and a gentle stretch. Notice for you, is this about the lower back or the hips or the upper back or the neck? Where do you feel the stretch? Inhaling, press into your hands and rise up. I invite you to switch so that the other leg is in front. That might feel a little more awkward. And start that rib circle going in the opposite direction. That might feel a little more awkward. What does it feel like to shift habit? To not do things the way we are used to doing them? Begin to add the movement of the hips. A little bit more with the shoulders, maybe the head and neck as well. Where is the sensation the strongest? One more circle around. And then coming up to center, bringing those hands forward again, hinging forward at the hips. Letting the forearms come down towards the mat. Maybe they touch, maybe not. Letting the head get heavy as the back of the head reaches towards the mat. Find breath. Gently pressing into your hands, rise back up. Bring your legs out in front of you for just a moment, bouncing the knees, windshield wiper the feet. invite you to bring a block or a prop if you have one under the knees. Otherwise, even if you're very flexible, bend those knees at least a little bit. Go ahead and take the hands to the hip crease and gently massage out the hip crease. And then as you press back with the thumbs, inhale, lengthen through the spine. Begin to bring the body over so that the rib cage touches the thighs. And then from here, bring the hands towards the feet, and maybe you're just supporting with the hands on the mat, or maybe they're holding onto the feet. Can you lengthen with breath? And then exhale and fold over. Can you find a stretch in the back here? So the reason that our knees are bent just a little bit is because instead of finding the hamstring stretch, which will be there if your legs are straight, we're looking for a release of the lumbar region of the spine. Go ahead and cross wrists over, maybe holding onto the feet. Begin to draw the elbows back, and as you inhale, can you breathe into your upper back, opening up the upper back as well? And maybe the head drops down. One more deep breath here. Gently pressing into the hands, rise up, bring those feet behind you and find table. So as you find table, the wrists directly underneath the shoulders, the knees directly underneath the hips, fingers spread wide, a little bubble of air in the palm of the hand. Find strength as the elbows draw in towards each other, lengthen through the spine. And then from here, find cat, drawing the belly in, rounding up. And find cow, the heart moving through the arms, the back arching, the hips tilting towards the mat. Gently externally rotate those shoulders and draw them back and open up across the chest. So back and forth here, cat to cow, 2 more times. Where do you notice sensation? Come back to table, take 1 breath to reset and notice how it feels. Where are the curves in that neutral spine? And then round up into a kneeling mountain, arms rise. And exhaling, bring the hands forward, hips to heels, find child's pose. Breathing in, come back to cow. Exhaling, find cat. Rise up, kneeling mountain. Exhale to child. Draw forward into cow. And round that back up into cat. And 1 more time, following your breath, kneeling mountain to child, cow to cat. On that next inhale, bring your hands forward and find a kneeling plank and engage through the abdominals and find the strength as you come down to the mat, those elbows coming up, the body coming down as a single unit. And then come to Sphinx pose, those forearms wide. And take a deep breath in and exhale out of it and come in and out of Sphinx a few times. What are the sensations in the upper back, the middle back, the lower back? As you're ready, pressing through the forearms, rise into Sphinx and stay here for a moment. As you engage through the abdominals, draw the hip points forward and up. Feel the shoulder blades glide down. How wide can you get across the chest? Where is the work? Exhaling, come down, hands to rib cage, draw back to child. And curling the toes under, bring the knees up into the rib cage and rib cage to thighs, and shake your head out now and yes. Begin to pedal through your feet. And notice, what's tight today. I have a crampy calf muscle there. What's going on in your body? Taking a deep breath in, heels rise, exhaling, heels come down towards the mat. And then inhale, meet me in plank, and you decide, maybe you come down to your knees, maybe you just come all the way down to the mat. Find your Sphinx pose. Exhale down, bring hands to rib cage. Deep breath in, notice how your low cobra feels. Again, can the shoulders externally rotate, elbows draw towards each other and down towards the hips. Exhale down, slide those hands down towards the hips. Fingertips are reaching forward, but the entire hand is still on the mat. So that determines your range of motion. Lightly pressing into the hands, lightly pressing into the tops of the feet. Find your back bend. How does that feel? One more breath here. And then exhale down, slide those hands back up towards the rib cage. Come into your low cobra, maybe tent the fingers. Can you find the work in the back instead of the arms? Can you find length in the neck? Pressing down into the hands, come into child. And rise into downward facing dog. And stay here in downward dog for a breath. And taking a deep breath in, take that left leg up. So starting with the left today, again, just thinking about the way we always do things, beginning to shift that. Gaze comes forward, that left foot comes through the hands, back knee taps down and up. Let the back knee come down, top of the foot to the mat, sweep the arms up, find your lunge. Hands to heart, begin to lean forward just a little bit. Find a psoas stretch in this front hip. Notice that this back hip crease can pull back a little bit towards the wall. And then as you press the thumbs into the sternum right below the collarbone there, find your back bend. Just notice where it goes. Deep breath in, arms rise. Exhaling, hands to either side of the foot. Curl the toes under, raise that back leg up. Press that heel to that wall behind you. Press into the inside hand, that's my right hand. And sweep your left arm up as you twist towards that front leg. Maybe you stay here, and can you draw that shoulder a little bit away from the ear? And exhaling, release, and the front foot comes to the back and meet me in plank and come down to the mat, however you choose to do that. And find your back bend of choice. And curl the toes under and meet me in downward facing dog. So here in downward facing dog, how can you find a little more release for the back? Maybe that means changing where your feet are, or bending your knees a little bit more. Maybe it means going a little wider with the hands or the arms. On that next inhale, the right leg rises high. And gaze forward, the foot floats through the hands, and the back knee taps down and up. As you're ready, let that back knee come down to the mat. Top of the foot to the mat. Rise up into your lunge and find balance. Hands to heart. As you settle here, again, lean forward with the body just a little bit, this entire side of the body leaning forward, tilting this back hip up, scooping it up, imagining this front hip crease drawing back just a little bit. And hands, your thumbs pressing into that sternum, just gently find the back bend. Where does that take you? And deep breath in, the arms rise, and exhaling, bring the hands down to either side of the foot as the back leg rises up towards the sky. So just think about that thigh coming towards the sky. Press into that left hand, sweep the right arm up, twisting to the inside of the front leg. How does the back feel? How does the body feel today? Exhaling, hands come down to either side of the foot. Front foot comes to the back, meet me in plank. From plank, come down to the mat, maybe this time through grasshopper or chaturanga. Maybe now you're in upward facing dog, maybe still in low cobra. Meet me in downward facing dog. Stay here for a breath. And on the next inhale, the right leg rises high and the gaze comes, left leg rises high. Gaze comes forward, foot comes through. Even as an instructor, I have all my habits I need to break. Rise into your lunge. Go ahead and bring this back foot out to the side. Find your warrior one. So here in warrior one, a wide stance, hands to heart. Can you adjust so that the hips face forward so that you can feel this stretch in this back hip so that the front knee is over the ankle? Thumbs stay to sternum. Find your back bend. Don't push it at all. Just notice where it goes. Take a deep breath in. Bring the arms up. Straighten that front leg. Left hand to thigh. Go ahead and bend that knee as you reach forward, 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 all the way down. And rise up. And moving with breath as you exhale forward. Inhale up. One more time. And then as you're ready, hands to heart, find a twist. Hinging forward at the hips. If you want a low twist, go ahead and bring those arms to the outside of that front leg. If that doesn't work for you, just stay in a high and supported twist. So wherever you are, what do you notice in your back? How can you adjust the twist to provide more release in the back? One more breath here. Exhaling, release. Hands to either side of that foot. Gently straighten out the front leg, bend it. Straighten it one more time. Find a hamstring stretch. So this is all about the leg now. Shoulders square to the mat. Shake the head out, no and yes. And then bend the leg. Find humble warrior as those arms rise up. Release. Bring the hands forward, rise all the way up. Hands to heart. Find your back bend. Notice where it goes. Has anything shifted? Deep breath in, arms rise up. Exhale, forward fold. Draw the back foot forward to meet me at the front. Knees bent. Ribcage touching thighs, hold on to those elbows, and find breath. Settle at center, lengthening through the spine. And then let the hands come down to the mat. And hands to shins, rise up halfway, and exhale down, and meet me all the way up in mountain pose, palms together. Exhale, hands to heart, thumbs to the sternum, find your back bend here. What's the difference when your feet are in mountain instead of warrior one? Can you press down through the feet? Lift up through the lower back. Deep breath in, arms rise, exhale, forward fold. Hands to shins, come up halfway, and breathing out one leg back and then the other, and meet me in a plank, and you choose how to come down to the mat, and you choose your back bend. And as you're ready, curl your toes under and meet me in downward facing dog. And stay here in downward facing dog for 2 breaths and just notice how this feels compared to when you started today. What has shifted and changed? Noticing also what is still a little tight or cranky. Then on that next inhale, the right leg rises high. And gaze forward, go ahead and bring that foot all the way through and rise up into your lunge. Hands to heart, bring that back foot to warrior one. So a wide stance, toes angled towards the front of the mat. From here, checking in with that first back bend, thumbs to sternum. Lift the body up and out of the hips. Find your back bend. Notice where you go, how it feels. Maybe there's a little extra weight at the outside edge of that back foot or the big toe of the front foot. And then release. Go ahead and straighten out your leg. Right hand to thigh, left arm reaches up. You're going to bend this right leg as much as you need to. Hinge all the way forward and up. And 2 more times here. And sweep those arms up and bend that front leg. Find your twist. So maybe that's that low twist as you come forward and low and then twist, or maybe you're in a higher twist. Maybe it's different on this side than it was on the other side because you've got some stuff going on in your body today. Find your breath. Use your breath. As you're ready, hands come down to either side of that foot. Again, just very gently straightening and bending, noticing, what's going on in that hamstring, remembering that tight hamstrings definitely play into having a tight lower back. And find that hamstring stretch, so shoulders squared to the front of the mat and shake the head out, no and yes. And then as you're ready, lunge that leg so the knee is over the ankle, and go ahead and come into humble warrior. Maybe those hands are behind you and reaching for the sky as the head comes down. And find your breath and find stability. Are you still engaging the abdominals? Are you still pressing through the feet? And then exhaling, let those hands come down to the mat. Rise back up into warrior one. Hands to heart, thumbs to sternum. How does that back bend feel now? Has anything changed? Deep breath in, arms rise. Exhaling, hands to heart. Meet me in mountain. Check in mountain here, noticing the way the feet have connected to the mat. The sensations in the body, right side compared to left. Can you feel your heartbeat? What do you want Jesus to do for you? Taking a deep breath in, let the arms rise. As you come into forward fold, open yourself up and surrender to all the changes that will mean in your life. Adjust the forward fold for your back, so maybe you're bending or straightening the legs. Maybe you're moving the hands around a little bit. How much length can you find in the spine? Create space for change. New ways of doing. Hands to shins will rise up halfway and exhale down and one leg back and then the other and meet me in plank. From plank, come down to the mat. Find your back bend. Come back to downward facing dog. Stay here. Find your breath. I'm just moving through that sequence a little bit more quickly. Deep breath in, raise that left leg up to the sky. Draw the gaze forward as the foot floats through the hands. Rise into your lunge. Come into your warrior. Find your first back bend. Sweep the arms up. Find your twist. Bring the hands down to the mat. Come into humble warrior as the hands rise and maybe they clasp behind you and the arms rise up. And exhaling, go ahead and bring those arms all the way up again and hands to heart and find your back bend. Maybe those hips reach a little bit more towards the front of the mat. How are you using the breath? And then sweep those arms up and hands to heart. Bring the back foot forward and meet me in mountain. Stay in mountain for 2 breaths. What do you notice? Deep breath in. Arms rise, asking for whatever it is you want from Jesus. Exhaling down, surrendering to all that that will mean in your life. Hands to shins, rise up halfway. Exhaling, come down to the mat, meet me in plank. Find your way down to the mat, find your back bend. Are you still moving with breath? And curling the toes under, meet me in downward facing dog. Draw shoulders towards hips, fingers forward, heels back. And on that next inhale, the right leg rises high. And gaze forward, foot comes all the way through, rise into your lunge. Hands to heart, back foot to warrior 1. Find your balance. Hips are still facing towards the front edge of the mat. Find that first back bend. Check in. How does it feel? And keeping the hands to heart, hinge forward, lengthen through the spine. Top of the head reaches to the front of the mat. Find your twist. 1 breath here. Exhaling, come forward, take those hands behind you. If that works for you, you can support yourself with your hands on the floor as well. Engage through the abdominals so there's not too much weight on that front leg. Then exhaling, rise all the way up. Hands together, find that final back bend here. What do you notice? Bring the arms up, meet me in mountain pose, hands to heart. Stay here for 2 breaths. I invite you to press the palms together a little bit more. There's still a little bit of space in the palm, but you're pressing at the base of the first finger, pinky finger, and each side of those wrists. Take a deep breath in, arms rising, exhaling, forward fold. And hands to shins, come up halfway and exhale down and one leg back and then the other and meet me in plank. But this time come down to your knees and child to table twice. As you're ready, come back to child and stay there. And forehead to the mat. Maybe massaging it out side to side. Maybe adjusting. Maybe those legs go a little wider or a little narrower. Be intentional about the placement of your arms. Maybe they're in front of you. Maybe they're behind you. What changes are you willing to make in your life? What changes do you resist? Gently press into your hands and rise up. As you come up, bring those feet in front of you, take them a little bit wide, and gently just drop the knees side to side, coming towards the center of the mat. Gentle lower body twist. What's going on in the back? Are there still places where you're a little tight? As you're ready, come to center. Bring one block back near where your head is and come all the way down onto the mat. We're going to start with your knees bent. Just finding a gentle twist as the knees are bent and the shins are parallel to the floor, arms are out to the side. And just gently come down about 2/3 of the way down in one direction, 2/3 in the other. And can you control this from the abdominals? So rather than leading from the knee, can you lead from the obliques? As you're ready, come to center. Take a deep breath in as you and then exhale as you draw the knees in and rock side to side. Hold on to that right leg, extend the left, and push that left heel away. Imagine that you have a 5-pound bag of flour resting on that thigh, and that thigh is getting heavy on the mat. Maybe you even keep your hand on the hip for a moment. And then bring this top foot, so this left foot to the right foot to the inside of that left knee. Hands out to the side. Gently bring that knee over to the side and find your twist. So maybe there's a slight shift of the hips as well as you come over to the side. Can you define this by bringing both shoulder blades down onto the mat? So, very different twist if my shoulder blade is up, even though my knee is lower, than if my upper body is still and it's a lower body twist. Maybe this opposite hand, this right hand reaches for that top leg. Sorry, left hand, left and right, all mixed up. Maybe that top leg is gently massaged down just a little bit. Again, just a gentle stretch here. A little bit of tension, no struggle. One more breath. Exhaling, draw the belly in, come to center. Again, bringing both knees in. There's just a very gentle rock side to side as you give yourself a hug. And then hold on to that left knee as that right leg extends. And again, push away with that foot. Imagine that thigh getting heavy, that hip pressing down towards the mat. And then bring this foot of this left foot to the inside of that extended leg. Arms out to the side, just gently bring that leg over. Again, maybe there's a gentle shift, just slightly of that hip. And find your breath. And notice, what does it feel like on this side? Is that bottom leg still activated? Does that top leg want a little help? Stay here for 2 breaths. Drawing the belly in, come back to center. Go ahead and bend both of those legs. Again, just giving yourself a gentle hug, rocking side to side. One final release for the lower back. Go ahead and bring that block now down towards your hips, hands at your hips. Anchor through the shoulder blades and the heels. Feet are just a little bit in front of the knees. And gently tilt the hips up and rise into your back bend. And exhale down. And one more time, can you come up one vertebra at a time? Just noticing, going a little more slowly if your spine feels stuck. As your back comes to the mat, take one breath there, and as the muscles settle into the mat, just notice what's going on. And as you press your feet down, go ahead and bring that block to the lower back. So the block is underneath the sacrum bone. It is above the tailbone. It is below the spine. It should feel very supported. You can adjust the block. We've done a lot of back bending today. Maybe it feels good to come up a level. Maybe it feels good to reorient the positioning of the block so that it is long and vertical rather than wide. So, just find what's right for you right now, today. Begin to feel the muscles soften, the body melting over that block. What is your resistance to change? Or maybe more accurately, what is causing your resistance to change? Can you exhale that out and into the block? Letting go of it, body, mind, and soul, no need to carry it anymore. Pressing into your feet, gently lift up just enough that you can move that block out of the way. Come down one vertebra at a time. How does the back feel? How is it settled onto the mat? Bring hands to knees and knees into the rib cage and away a few times here. And then bring those legs long. Notice how it feels. Maybe windshield wiper the feet or bounce the knees or wiggle or shift the hips. Bring hands to sky and reach as high as you can and let the shoulder blades thump down, and do that once more. Let the hands come down to the mat, palms up. Eyes closed, find breath. And in these final moments of class, I invite you to breathe in the winds of change, opening yourself up to all that you want from Jesus, trusting his Spirit to guide you along the way, to light the path, to provide you with the encouragement and the courage that you need. I invite you to stay here a little longer if you can, but if you need to get moving today, gently bring movement back, wiggling fingers and toes, rotating wrists and ankles, turning your head side to side. Taking a deep breath in, arms rise up and overhead, finding length. And bending your knees, taking your time, roll over onto your side. And stay here for a couple of breaths. Just letting the body recalibrate, realign. Pressing into your hands, rise up to that comfortable seated position again and find the sitting bones on the mat. And check in body, mind, and soul. What has changed since you came to the mat today? What has stayed the same? Acknowledging it and accepting it as it is. Taking a deep breath in, arms rise, palms overhead come together. Exhale, hands to prayer in front of you, bowing your head, joining me in prayer. Jesus, you know the deepest desires of our hearts, the things that we are afraid to ask for. And you know all of the reasons that we hold back. Today we come to you asking in boldness, asking with courage, knowing that you will provide everything that we need to establish new ways of doing, new ways of thinking, new ways of being, so that we can be all that you have called us to be, so that all the world may know your love. It is in the name of Jesus the Christ that we pray. Amen. Thank you for practicing with me today.